Hello, football fans, and welcome back to a very special edition of the Corner Flag podcast. We are going to do a mini Copa review and a preview of the final for the Copa America in 2024. I am joined here by the boys. Got Brad, Bully, and Danny. Thank you, gentlemen. How are we all feeling?
Hola.
Heartbroken. But anyway.
Heartbroken. So we'll just have a quick little review of the semi-finals that were played over the last 2 days, and then we'll give our predictions for the final as well. It's just a mini bite-sized episode just to keep your football fix going until the finals. So we'll talk very quickly. Firstly, we had Argentina-Canada. Argentina got up 2-0, goals from Alvarez and Messi. Any surprises here, gents?
Nope.
No, I've just got here walk in the park for Argentina.
Yep.
I think the surprise was how much of a performance Canada's put in all tournament. Like, for them to get as deep as they have, there were already signs of the inklings of a decent tournament for them in their opening game, which they played Argentina as well in that game. Argentina got lucky in that game, in my opinion, with a couple of chances that should have gone in, but I guess that separates the men from the boys of putting those chances away. So I think that they did well to match it with, I mean, they're matching it with the best in the world, you know, and I didn't think they didn't disgrace themselves, that's for sure.
They got a couple of stars in there.
Yeah, well, just Jesse Marsh, the Canadian coach, came out before the game and was saying how he's going to deal with Messi, and they were acknowledging that, you know, he's the greatest to ever play the game, but they've had a few different strategies up their sleeves, I suppose, because he wasn't happy with how Messi played in that first game where he got the ball a lot to pick up and run, but people have been trying to stop him for 20 years. Like, you know, I'm sure Jesse Marsh isn't the one with the answer to that riddle.
Yes, he'd be a very highly paid man if that was the case.
He'd still be coaching at Leeds. So, look, stats-wise, possession was pretty much even, which is interesting. XG was, 2.2 to 0.78. Just put that in. Just put that in for Daniel Sturridge over here.
All our fans are listening have now tuned out. They're like, "Oh, XG, what is this?"
We've become that podcast that references XG way too much now.
Yeah, should have done this whole thing in American accents. Just talked about if this game went to PKs, the goaltender might have had to save them. So, but yeah, I do think it was. Look, Argentina were pretty dominant without really. I feel like they didn't really break too much of a sweat. Yeah, there were a few moments where you thought Canada did look a bit dangerous, but they got the job done, man. I don't know if you saw Rodrigo de Paul, got fouled, and the ball was there, and the Canadian players walked up and just kicked it into him. Yes. And it just kicked off right in front of the Argentinian bench, and I was like, he's obviously just frustrated and he's trying to get someone sent off or something. But yeah, it was.
Sure. That Argentina team, I'm so fascinated by them. A lot of it's media-based, but you see how that entire team worships Messi. But you see it on the field in some of their actions and the way that they play the game. The amount of times that I saw Rodrigo de Paul run forward past Messi to go and press like their left centre-back who had the ball, just because he knew that he had to go and do that job to conserve Messi's energy for when they had the ball. Like, it is ingrained in that team to play this such an unnatural role that you wouldn't play it in any other team or with any other 10 players. But in that team, they have this way of...
I did that for Danny for years.
Oh, my Lord.
And we're not comparing you to Messi, just set that straight as well.
It's one of the nicest things you've ever said to me.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't believe you took offence to that. Danny was like, hold on a sec. Wait, compliment?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Button you up for Sabrina anyway.
No, look, you are exactly right though. You know, to see that happen, especially at that level as well, like the international level. Yes, he's great. He's the greatest. At the moment, he's probably not the greatest in the world. And you saw there were a few, errant passes and whatever. But yeah,
he can turn it on as a dime. But
and he's not one of those players that looks like the kind of person that he would demand or ask for that. Like, he's one of the people that Scaloni's probably come out and said, guys, this is our game plan. We need to do this. If you see Messi's not going to press there, Rodrigo, you go. And it's just no questions asked. It's like,
because if you don't go,
jump high.
He'll do it with his cornrows. Our mad dog.
He looks like a dead set Backstreet Boy. That
bloke.
He's channeling his inner Memphis Depay.
The other semi-final, which at the time of recording was played this morning.
Oh,
don't want to talk about it.
Don't bring it
up. Too soon.
It was Uruguay, Colombia. Obviously, a bit of vested love there towards Uruguay on this podcast. Jefferson Lerma scored a header in the 39th minute. Uruguay just couldn't really get going. I sat and watched it with Danny's old man, actually, and he had the Uruguayan radio on, and he was telling me what the Uruguayan commentators do not hold back. They were just pretty much like, The wingers are there to cross the ball. They're not crossing the ball. Strikers are there to finish. They're not there to whatever. They hammered Darwin. He obviously had a couple of chances where he should have at least hit the target.
It doesn't sound like him missing a few shots.
Now all the Uruguayan fans know how the Liverpool fans feel every week.
Yeah, so it was a frustrating game. I know, Danny, it's hurting, but I will throw to you just some thoughts, I suppose, overall.
Yeah, overall, I think that it just came down to the fact that we needed our best players playing their best level of football. I said it all along throughout this tournament. We've had a chat about Copa America that Colombia was a team that, in my opinion, have been the best team so far in the tournament. Messi and co have been playing in third gear, so maybe they have still got something left. But I think Colombia has been by far the best team. And before coming out of the group stages, I was happy that we got to avoid Colombia and had to play Brazil, which is unheard of. To say I'd rather play Brazil than a Colombia, right? And the fear was justice, and like it was seen right that Colombia answered everything they had to answer against Uruguay, and we just had players that weren't firing. Araujo, who's been fantastic on our left wing all tournament, couldn't put a cross in, couldn't beat his player.
I think the 84th minute, I think, was the first time he took his player and beat him.
Valverde, who usually looks like he's got 6 sets of lungs and he's eating every part of the pitch, really notable actions of him.
I think Bentancur was obviously when he came off injured, they looked at not, and he hasn't been starting. A player of that quality to not be playing when he came off the pitch, things changed. Obviously, Daniel Munoz got sent off for Colombia. You saw, I think it was Ugarte might have pinched him.
Loved it.
He's thrown a massive. He's already on a yellow, thrown an elbow. VAR's gone, get off, see you later. So that changed the game. But I think it was difficult because it gave guys like Luis Diaz a chance to go. You're going to be one-on-one every now and then because Uruguay obviously pushing on, and he was an absolute warrior. So Liverpool fans, I'm sure you're excited about that. And then just the other thing I want to talk about was the coach of Colombia to go James off. He's their best player.
Yep.
He's their best player. He makes that team tick. But he knew
He looks 23 as well.
with 10 men, James is not going to give you the output that you need to.
That used to happen to me all the time. When our team went down to 10 men,
Take
I'd
off
have
the
to
worst player.
sacrifice. You have to. Your creative players come off when in that situation. I think that. I mean, seeing what he looks like, the kind of person he is, he put his hand up and go, "Guess what? I'm going to do that shit."
I'm not chasing anyone.
I ain't doing that shit.
And Luis Diaz was just everywhere, left, right, chasing down defenders.
Yeah, it's great. I obviously sent all you guys a text message because it was interesting to find out. I said, where is James Rodriguez playing? Yeah. The bloke's been, not only has he scored goals, he's assisted, I think, pretty much in every single game that he's been part of.
Yeah,
Six assists.
6, that's crazy, right? And the bloke's, I think he's only still,
Is he 31?
I think he'd find it a bit older.
Really? I'd be interested. Well, anyway, we'll fact check this later. But for me, I think he should still be over playing in for a major team in the European leagues or something like that. Not sort of playing his trade in Brazil. And I'm nothing against Brazil. I love the place. But I think, is it where that he should be? Does he get a gig after this?
Yeah.
Does he get an opportunity to go back into Europe because he deserves it?
He had his big spell around Madrid, which he would have been earning all the money he needed to earn. Maybe he's now in holiday mode, and I'm sure that.
I mean, there's probably worse places to holiday, right?
But the Brazilians also have a way of keeping big players.
The government chips
there.
a lot of money.
Government chips players
to keep those guys.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, 32 years old for the
there you
record. He's younger than all of us, so that's upsetting.
Yeah,
He's wearing
He looks it too.
He's wearing number 55 at Sao Paulo. I wonder if he's got a little plus in there to get that 5 and 5 is 10. So
who's got the number 10 there? I'd love to know who wouldn't hand his number 10 over to James Rodriguez, which is pretty big.
that's huge.
That's pretty
Absolutely
big.
huge.
No, it's crazy. I mean, it's a credit to the Brazilian league to obviously attract those kind of players as well. That's not a notable league to be playing in.
He's a bit of a maverick. He's been around, ended up at Everton or whatever, was doing really well when Ancelotti was there. Ancelotti left and he just threw his toys out of the pram.
Crazy,
So,
but anyway, that was
Back to the game, I think that a notable mention for Uruguay is our goalkeeper, Rocher. He pulled off an absolute joke of a save towards the end of the game.
I thought he was terrible with his feet. He just put you guys under so much pressure.
Yeah, but I mean, his stature is fantastic, and I just feel safe with him in goals. Any crosses coming in, I think that ironically we did concede off a corner.
Corners are not great.
But that was down to Jimenez jumping downwards on that corner. He was dreadful with his defending, and I think we missed Araujo in the middle of that defence big time. The other Araujo.
I wonder, Brad, it would be interesting to know, mate. Did you take down the stats of how many yellow cards were given at this tournament?
No, I didn't take any stats. I was only taking of the Euros.
That's fair. That's fair.
Because Turkey had like 18 in 4 games. Or
I could imagine there'd be a few more.
Well, I think it was probably 18 in this game.
Yeah, that's it. For sure, the yellows would be high.
The one that was between podcasts we never spoke about, which was, I think, one of the most fiery and most horrendous games ever, was the Uruguay-Brazil game, the one leading up to this. That was a dreadful game of football.
Yeah.
It was something like 42 fouls, I think, or something like that.
We'll get it up.
Which was...
I wonder how much that was paying at the on the sports bet.
Yeah.
The odds for that.
But
20 plus.
Look,
$1.
the Copa America has become a lot more mainstream, obviously, now with coverage and how much we get it. With my family, we've been watching the Copa America for years, and it's never been pretty. It's just now everyone's watching it, and they're comparing it to European football, and there's nothing pretty about a Copa America. It's a grind, it's a battle. There's so much history between these teams, and when they play against each other, that it goes way, way, way beyond the football pitch, or just that game.
Is it always the timing of the Euros and Copa America similar times? Are they
No, Copa America has been very inconsistent in its last few years in terms of how often they do it. You'll find if you look back now, there was actually 2 Copa Americas played back to back because they wanted to line up with 100 years since the first one and things like that.
Decima, was it? Or no, not Decima, was it?
Centenary.
So does that sort of tie into the fact that what you're saying is that people are comparing it because they are so close by? You've got Euro games now finishing straight into a Copa.
It'll be every 4 years now, surely.
I think before it used to be the other side of the World Cup. So we'd have Euros, World Cup. No, then that would be the
every 4 years, but it's in the 2 year gap. So it's just the same thing. Okay, yeah, not sure on the history of that.
No, I just thought I'd ask, but it gives us look. I think the tournament is itself, like having a look at it. I've tuned in to obviously watch the highlights and stuff, but intrigued to see how it's going to go.
Yeah, so interestingly,
forward for the World Cup.
Interestingly, they do have a 3rd place playoff. The Euros are not doing a 3rd place playoff. So Canada, Uruguay. I'll get quick predictions there.
You like that idea? Like for a Uruguayan fan, are you going to watch that?
There's no incentive for you now, especially at this time in the season, knowing that you've got an entire football season to come. There is nothing appealing. I feel like both teams will.
But maybe a bit of pride to.
I think Canada will probably want to have a red hot crack at it.
Do you think more of the guys that probably didn't play now get an opportunity?
Like the Suarez start.
Do you think that would be the case? It's just we treat it as that, and maybe the guys that didn't play the whole tournament will just.
That's what they normally do. That's what England.
I think you'll find this will be Suarez's last game in a Uruguay jersey, so I think that he probably will start and will captain that side, and he will get his little moment. Yeah. He'll get brought off in the 70th minute if he even makes it.
I thought it was going to score. He hit the post.
Oh mate.
Yep.
But
well, let's get a quick predictions then. I know it's a hard one to predict because I'm just going to go Uruguay 2-0 because I think that would be too good.
I'm going to go Uruguay 4.
Yeah, 3-0. Suarez hat trick. Come on, help us a little.
Saints.
I'm going to go 3-0 as well, and I think that Suarez will get him one, and we'll see him kiss every part of his lip as he usually does. And
he hasn't any more kids. His celebration's going to be 3.5 hours.
He's got a tat on his neck of the exact same thing. Unbelievable. And he still straps his wrist.
There might be a lot of yellows. Canada, most yellow cards in the Copa America. Canada.
Canada, that man, Brad on fire. And then we've got the final there, Argentina, Colombia.
Yeah.
Let's just go some predictions. We've spoken about the teams. You got to think if Argentina are fit and firing. And obviously, Lautaro didn't start the semi-final.
Leading goal scorer.
They went with Julian Alvarez and Lionel Messi. They've got options for days. And obviously, Martinez being top goal scorer. Interesting for him to not start. You've got to think they'll do everything they can, obviously, to get Messi ready for that game. And, he'll won't be training with the rest of the boys. He'll be in the ice bath for sure. But Colombia, like Danny said, have probably been the form team of the tournament in that sense. I just think Argentina haven't really been pushed yet. You don't want to get pushed in a final as your first time because you don't know. But backing onto a World Cup where they were, they've got that there. They've got Emi Martinez in goals. I think that's a massive, like Messi's come out and said he's the best keeper in the world. So what do you think, gents? Argentina, Colombia.
Like Colombia, 28 games unbeaten. Wild.
Have they ever won the Copa? No.
What, their current form?
They're currently 28 games unbeaten. I do believe that they have never won it. I've been wrong before on this podcast. So I'm not going to take it for gospel right now, guys. But I do not think that they have won it.
Argentina's only lost one game against Uruguay since they lost to Saudi Arabia in the last World Cup.
They're playing Colombia though.
they've had those are the only 2 losses they've had.
That's right.
And they've won 3 major titles in that time too.
The Colombians will have they'll have something a little bit extra in their water bottles, mate. I think they'll push.
Just nothing to sneeze at.
Nothing to sneeze. You don't want to be sneezing when that thing's in the way. That's for sure.
Colombia has won the Copa America in 2001.
Wow.
Wow. Fun fact.
Yes.
But look, I think Argentina get it done. They've been there. Colombia probably the first time in a while that they've been in a major
That's the
tournament.
last. I saw a stat today said that they haven't been in a final since in 23 years. So
That's-
the last time that they were in a final, they won it. There you go.
I think it's different when you're coming into that. It's whether they get overawed by the situation or the fact of who they're coming up against. Argentina have been there. They're on this incredible run. They've got all these other things that have sort of those factors. The Lionel Messi factor is just a given.
When you're on the Copa show, it's Lionel Messi, not Lionel, right? Just
Lionel
Richie.
Lionel's going to have a great game, and I think they win 2-0, and I think Messi gets a double.
Okay, Brad.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go 0-0. 1-1. Colombia on pens.
Now there is extra
There's
time.
extra time.
There is extra time, unlike the rest
Just
of the Copa.
just for the
For the final. Yeah, the rest of them, if it was draw at full time, went straight to pens. So
That's interesting.
are you still going to back the 1-1 into pens,
Yeah, 1-1 into pens. Can't back Argentina.
Daniel?
I'm going to go Argentina with a Lautaro Martinez winner 1-0.
Oh,
Interesting. I'm going to go Colombia just for a bit of love factor, I suppose, and a bit of a fairy tale. So I'm going to go Colombia to win 2-1, and I think
James.
there'll be a red card in there somewhere. Could be.
I reckon it could be the coach.
Well, probably, but yes, I think that's where we'll end up. So,
Interesting.
anything you want to add, gents, before we wrap this little mini bite-sized episode up?
Well, there was the big punch on post.
I'm
Post
glad you brought this up.
Uruguay.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah, Lucky Darwin was throwing him because he
Handbags.
didn't hit the target. Someone said he got whack-a-mole. Just the fan came and dropped the fist like that. But Danny actually sent me a really interesting video from Jimenez, the captain. Do you want to speak to that, Danny? Because it was quite a, I suppose, emotion-provoking video.
For sure, he
sense.
came out and sort of exposed the runners of the tournament in their lack of preparation and care and diligence for their family, for the families of the players. They give them a certain area in the stadium to sit in that has not much protection. And this whole fight was instigated, according to the players, by the fact that some of the Colombian fans who had a few too many bevies decided to infiltrate the family's area of the players. Look, not too sure what happened then to provoke it all, but those guys being in an area where they weren't, and Jimenez called out the fact that there was no security there to protect. So the players had to take it upon themselves to go up and protect their families, where their kids and newborn babies and their wives and so on,
I'd be throwing a few haymakers too.
100%.
which is definitely a big red flag for a nation that's going to be hosting the World Cup in a few years.
like
So it's definitely something that, I mean, you all saw the well-documented private security that Messi was given by Inter Miami when he arrived. So if stuff like that is needed, maybe the rest of the tourney should have a look
David
at.
Beckham just making a few phone calls. Obviously, the final being played in Miami, so I'm sure it'll be
that's right.
Under
Huge for
good
him
wraps.
too. But yeah, obviously those Colombian fans getting into the family section, like football's football, right? And we know people comment about the Copa America how
do that.
enthusiastic and how much this means to the people in South America and now North and Central America as well. But yeah, when it comes to families, it's just not on.
100%.
Also, if it was the other way around and Uruguay had won that game and these Colombian fans in anger enter that area, you would have maybe gone, okay.
Yeah, but they won.
So, but they were the ones that they should be off celebrating on their own, and here they are bothering
I completely
the families of the losing team, which
But
is baffling.
Having a look at it, is it much similar to, obviously, we've been in some areas where it's normally they have the family area behind the dugouts. Is that where it took place?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
was.
was
Much
literally
similar,
one
where
side
it's-
of the stairs up.
where it's all they sort of sit in behind there and they get
I
there.
think the security would be better in
The
America.
Colombian fans, you could see, like there was that little section. The Colombian fans were right behind them, like the rest of the. I'm not saying that they were all involved. Obviously, would have been a couple bad eggs, but they were right there. What would you think? Why would they not put the Uruguayan fans there? It is a strange one.
I think there's a
There'll
few
be-
things.
Yeah.
I think there's a few things the Americans are going to learn from this tournament to hopefully get ready for the World Cup in 2
Well,
years.
you're thinking about it because it's obviously a changed format, right? Where we're going to have more teams, obviously spread across Mexico and Canada as well. So there'll be some interesting stuff
Security
around
might
that.
not be as good there.
Potential political battles as well amongst nations that are entering that World Cup.
Do you think it's different because in this being it that it is South America or the Americas, I would say that obviously two rival nations that it was always going to be quite heated. Whereas I guess you get in a World Cup where countries are probably going to be sort of further apart.
Well,
in a sense.
like I mentioned before, these games now string
Heated, right?
way past just a match of 90 minutes. Even if it's just about football, there is history amongst the actual football matches themselves. Like Uruguay and Brazil can't have a conversation without talking about the Uruguayans can't stop without mentioning that they beat them in 1950, even if it's in 1950 in Maracanã. You know, like it's just a thing that just happens, and then. Yeah. But outside of that, there is it's just political and all sorts of things.
And I think in South America and from being and traveling through that, everyone's so passionate about their own country and all those things that what they've come from and what they've achieved and all those bits and pieces, and that ties into that factor as well. So you can't help but get emotional, right? And the thing that ties into it. But I think you're right though. You can't. There's got to be a line where
with a lot of these nations, especially in South America, football is all that they've got. So
everything they live and breathe.
England, yes, a footballing nation through and through, but there are other beautiful things in a country like that. When it comes to a Uruguay or a Colombia or a Brazil or Argentina, it's football or nothing. Like, and that's what is ingrained. You get given I saw many funny videos where people say they get given a football before they get given a dummy as a kid. So that's the difference, I think, in our in inverted commas passion taking over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was obviously a bit of a blight, I suppose, on the tournament if it's end that way. And look, Uruguay were copying a lot. Originally, they were saying, they lose a game and they carry on. But obviously the safety of the family and fans just in general it should be paramount. So
we are notoriously sore losers. we ain't gonna shy away from that.
Yeah, well, okay, fair enough. So that brings us a wrap. If there's anything else you want to add, gents, for a little mini Copa episode,
bring on the finals.
Yeah,
just both.
It's going to be a cracking day.
5
a.m. into 10, or is it 11?
11.
Where are we going, boys? That's the real question.
Well, Messi's now leading his team as captain into something like his sixth major final, I believe.
Wow.
Crazy.
Which will go down in itself. Like before him winning the World Cup, it was that he couldn't win one, so he wasn't the greatest. Now you look back at the fact that he's now won the Copa and the World Cup. On top of that, he's also been in another World Cup final that he lost. Another 2 Copa America finals that he lost. He won a Finalissima. So
are they going to do that again or not?
I think that's from now on. That is the next thing. So there is even talks now that if Spain win and Argentina win, then Messi and Yamal come up against each other. Like the two La Masia at the beginning of the end. There's a beautiful romantic story there that we can all listen to. All the way from.
Did they reenact that photo?
All the way from the bathtub
on the side, just having a look at both of them.
The plan was 5 a.m. at my place into 11 a.m. at Danny's place if Uruguay made it. But now you have to go to Vincenzo Finocchiaro's house to watch it.
Absolutely. We'll see. We will see.
So we've got Spain, England, 5 a.m. on Monday morning into Argentina, Colombia, 10 a.m.
A good multi, that one.
You only have to miss one leg.
You get 1 out of 2, you get your money back, I think.
2-1 into 2-1.
So anyway, gents, thank you so much for
Thanks
coming on.
us.
I do appreciate it. I hope you really enjoyed this little mini episode, little Copa America preview for the final. As always, please make sure you're jumping onto social media, Instagram, following us, liking and sharing our content. Jump onto YouTube and Spotify as well. Make sure you subscribe there as well. As always, make sure you're chipping in on any polls or anything we're putting out on social media. We'd love to hear from the fans. It really does help us. But yeah, as always, thank you so much for choosing to score some goals with us here. And as always, remember to celebrate with the corner flag.